Columbia group here. Head coach Al Bagnoli.
Good. Excuse me.
Joined by Michael Murphy, senior linebacker from Tampa, Florida, and Daniel DeLorenzi, a senior defensive lineman from Cedar Grove, New Jersey.
How are you, sir?
What's going on?
Coach, good to see you again, as always.
Likewise. Great to see you.
I tell the story that after Coach had retired at Penn, we at the Ivy League Football Association dinner we do every 2 years, major event, 1,500 people, black tie, and we congratulated him on this magnificent career that he had wrapped up. And about 3 months later, I was saying to him, congratulations on the new job. And a new job, by the way, we should say he has handled magnificently.
Thank you.
So, again, great to have you here. Let me ask you to start off with some thoughts you have. Come in.
Yeah, well, first let me start off by saying thank you to ESPN. This is an awesome event for everybody concerned, the student athletes, the coaches, the league. So thank you for putting it together. Thank you for the league for making the arrangements. We're really optimistic. It's year 5. We're a deeper football team. We're a much more mature football team. I think we can withstand 10 straight games now with a little bit of attrition that will hit us. So I think we're optimistic. We're in a good place. We have great leadership, and we have a big senior class. So I'd like where we are, and like everything else, you need your great players to play at a really high level, and if they can do that, I think we're going to be someone that people are going to have to look at and say, whoa, we're going to have to play really well.
Some questions then for Coach or the players. Yes.
Dr. Levine was tied up. Yeah, I mean, I think we're in medically good shape. I think there's two sides of an injury. There's the actual recovery from the physical trauma, and then you have to deal with the psychological trauma. And so physically we're fine. We'll have to take it really slow with some of those kids with the knee injuries, the Josh Wainwrights of the world, and make sure that they emotionally and mentally are feeling good. But we had a ton of kids up over the summer. They trained really hard. They passed all the conditioning tests. So I think we're in a good place, and now we're just going to have to navigate the early part of preseason.
Quick follow-up. Had you ever in your experience before, your long coaching experience, and by the way, I should note that he is now has more of the active coaches in all divisions, college football, more wins than anybody else, which I think is astonishingly impressive. Have you ever had a season like you had last year with so many significant injuries to significant players?
No. It was one for the ages, and not many people can say you have 5 different quarterbacks lead you to victory and actually throw a touchdown pass in a single season. And so it's really a great reflection of where the program has come to and the leadership that these guys to my right have provided, along with the other seniors, of, hey, kid goes down and nobody panicked. They just said, next guy up, and go out there and keep playing and keep getting after it. But you hope as a coach you never have to go through that. It was almost impossible to try to game plan on what you want to do because you had such limited pieces available after a while. But we got through it and persevered, and now on the other side of it, we should have really received some positive benefits from it.
Other questions? Yes.
Emory Hunt football game plan. Coach, how fun has it been for you personally to restore the roar, so to speak, with Columbia football, and what has that meant for the university? Yeah,
it's really been, a really good experience for me personally and for my family personally. We've been embraced tremendously well, both myself and the staff, and been tremendous relationships with the entire Columbia community, the administration, the on-campus administration. And so for me, it's been invigorating. It's really been a lot of fun. It's been challenging, but at the same time, extremely rewarding. And, we're making progress, and I think we're doing all the right things, and hopefully we can just keep pushing this thing forward.
Yes.
Hi, Harris Walker, Columbia Spectator. You touched on it briefly, but the quarterback position was an area of concern last year, and now this season you're going in with a new quarterbacks coach. How confident do you feel in the position at this point?
I feel fine. Ryan Larson's our new quarterback coach, replaced Ricky Santos, and Ricky did a great job, and Ryan will do a great job. He was a really good hire for us. We'll have 3 or 4 kids that I think have experience, they have athleticism, they have the leadership that you want, and so it'll be up to us to try to figure out which one makes the most long-term sense, and then obviously, go from there. But I feel really good about the talent level at that position, and obviously, and in today's football, you have to get them to perform. And so that's going to kind of be the key, because outside of the quarterback position, we have some pretty dynamic kids on offense who can make plays on the perimeter, and we have lots of return and rushing yards in the backfield with those young kids.
Let me bring both of you into the conversation if we can. We've talked about the transformation, and I think that's a good word to use for Columbia football since Coach took over. We're coming off the first time back-to-back winning seasons for Columbia football since 1961 and 1962. So my question to you is, now as seniors, what have been the most significant changes that you've seen from the first time you set foot on campus to now as seniors? Michael, you start.
I think, I'll start with just the locker room mentality. The things that people don't see. When we first got here, there was just a lot of doubt. There seemed to be, every game going in, there just wasn't, this confidence that we could take the game, and now, in this era, where the old era is gone, completely, every game we go into, we have that kind of mentality that this game is ours. And that has changed completely. And just the locker room, the players we have, the talent in the locker room at every position, from seniors all the way down to freshmen, we're loaded. And, there's not a game that we go into where we're thinking, where there's any doubt.
Yeah, it's just a big cultural swing, and you can feel it when you walk around in the locker room. You feel it on campus. Students on campus who have no affiliation with the team are looking at you like, it's amazing to see this big transformation now, which it's cool. It's a great feeling, and guys feel that, and the whole school feels like they're behind us now, and it's a big swing towards the right direction for wanting to get on the field and play. So it's exciting. It's a good feeling.
And one of the interesting things you did, and Coach initiated this, is you would do your walkthroughs on Friday on campus.
Yep.
Literally in the middle. And if you've been to the Columbia campus, it's this magnificent campus with these enormous edifices around. And probably surprising for most students to see, what are those guys? Who are those guys? And what do they do? All right. Are we past the who are those guys now, do you think?
To a certain extent, yeah, I think so. I think it's really a big change, and a lot of people are paying attention and kind of know what's going on with the football team and stuff now. So it's definitely a lot different from freshman year to now even, and I think that's a big part of it. I think, with the school being behind us, it definitely changes things.
And we've got great coverage as well from the athletics department and, the Spectator. People talk about us a lot, and, I think we're past that stage where no one knows, does Columbia have a football team? It's gone.
Who are those guys?
Yeah.
Yes.
Ben Alcher, Harvard Athletics. This is for all three of you. You talk about that cultural shift and being able to have those back-to-back winning seasons. How do you try to make sure that it's not just sort of a 2-year, 3-year stretch of success? How do you get that sustained success over, 5, 10, 15 years?
Well, I think we've established a foundation that hopefully will allow us, both on the recruiting front, our player development front. I think, as I go back to my earlier statement, we are as deep as we've been, as physically big and strong as we've been, as athletic as we've been, and I think that trend is just going to continue onwards. And so when you start off in a better place and you can still develop your kids and they can still buy in to all the things you're trying to do, I think it should build long-term sustainability and give you a foundation that year in and year out, you're going to have a really competitive program.
Yeah, I think going 8-2 our sophomore season, that was when we drew the line and said, okay, Columbia's back and we're here to stay. The 0-10, 0-20 days are never coming back. And it starts with Coach and the staff that he's hired. The foundation is set, and people want to come to Columbia. Kids out of high school, they see the product and they want to come, and it's here for the taking.
Is it easier? Let me ask you both the same question. You're hosting recruits coming in. Used to be, right, for a long time it was, you can't sell Columbia football because it wasn't winning, and people would say, all right, the facilities are way uptown from the university, and the facilities, which by the way now are marvelous, but the facilities were sort of not as good as any of the other Ivies. So when you have a recruit now that you're hosting, how do you sell? Is it a hard sell, and how do you go about selling Columbia to them?
I wouldn't say it's a hard sell. I would say that it's more of just kind of really showing them the reality of the situation. This is a big change that's been happening over a few years now, and it's a really big upswing for us. And it's something you want to be a part of as a player coming out of high school. You want to be a part of a program that's being getting better and going to be really good. And so that's kind of something that you really try and tell the kids and have them understand that they're coming to be part of something bigger, something special. And the Ivy League itself is kind of easy to sell when you tell them about all the good things that come going to a school like this and all that. So, really trying to make it clear how special this program is and how special the Ivy League is in general is something that makes that recruiting process a little bit easier for us. Kind of helps get the kids a good understanding and make them excited to come here. So,
last question for you, Coach.
Yeah.
And sort of in line with what we're talking about here. Coach Dabo Sweeney at Clemson, famously within the last few years, has essentially refused to entertain questions about Clemsoning. You remember for many years, the notion was Clemson get to a big game and they tank and they lose. And I remember interviewing Coach Sweeney about 3 or 4 years ago for a 60-minute sports profile I did on him. And I said to them, why does that bother you when they ask you that? Because it had come off of a media session where he was clearly upset about it. So my question to you is at this stage, when people will say to you, I'm sure if they don't know what's happened in the last 2 years, they'll look at you and you say, you're the Columbia coach. Why? How do you handle now the Columbia version of the Clemsoning question?
No, again, people, I think, I don't know if they've been surprised about our recent success, but before I took the job, I always thought there was great potential there. And I always thought that you had the ability to succeed there. A combination of an unbelievable academic institution and an unbelievable city. And I think when they finally invested into facilities with all the new things in the Campbell Center, which is the sports center, and the inflatable bubble that gives us year-round access to practice, I thought it gave you a chance. And so my answer is, why not? Why shouldn't you be able to do it there? We've won from my Penn days in an urban campus. And so we were successful getting kids to come to a great city in Philadelphia and a great school in Penn. Why shouldn't we be able to get great kids to come to a great school in Columbia and a great city in New York? And I really felt confident that if you can put enough things in place, you've had an opportunity to have long-term success. It wasn't just going to be fleeting. You're going to be able to build a foundation and a pipeline that you're going to be able to compete. And hopefully I'm proven correct.
Well, it certainly seems to be working. Maybe another year or two, people like me will stop asking the question for you. Coach, thank you, Daniel. Thank you, Michael. Thank you for all of you.
Appreciate it.
And good luck to all of you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
We're going to take a quick 5-minute break here. And when we get back, we'll continue with our conversations with the team. So take a quick break. We'll be back.